Hello, family and friends. Here we are again today. It's a beautiful day out today. For some, it might be a little too humid. For me, it's just gorgeous. A hot, sunny day with a nice humidity level. Makes you sweat a little, which cleans the pores. I hope you're doing well today. I am grateful that you've made it to this part of your day, and I'm also grateful that you made it to this part of your life. And I do not take that very lightly when I say I am grateful that you've made it to this part of your life, which is where I'll begin. I'd like to read something for you. When, in the course of human events, it becomes necessary for one people to dissolve the political bands which have connected them with another, and to assume among the powers of the earth the separate and equal station to which the laws of nature and of nature's God entitle them, a decent respect to the opinions of mankind requires that they should declare the causes which impel them to the separation. We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men, all human, are created equal, that they are endowed by their Creator with certain unalienable rights, that among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, that to secure these rights, governments are instituted among people, among humans, among men, deriving their just powers from the consent of the governed, that whenever any form of government becomes destructive of these ends, it is the right of the people to alter or to abolish it and to institute new government, laying its foundation on such principles and organizing its powers in such form as to them shall seem most likely to affect their safety and happiness. This is an excerpt from the Declaration of Independence, one of our founding documents. And I read this quite often. I've read it here before because of the power behind the words. And to think that when that was written, some of the folks who signed the Declaration of Independence owned human beings. Hello, Bruce, my brother. Welcome. That the people who signed this, who we hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal, and yet they owned men and women and children. This is the foundation of the United States of America. Now, I know that some of you are checking this out around the world. You are not U.S. citizens, and some of you around the world may be. But to have a nation founded on this, we hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal. Why do we have the problems that we have going on in our nation today? Why? Because the same folks who wrote that hypocritically lived differently, didn't live the words that they wrote, the words that they spoke. There is a slogan out there: make America great again. As far as my ancestors know, as far as I know, the greatness of America has yet to exist. Equality, inclusion, equity. We've always been diverse. What we're encountering right now is that we have gotten to the point of uncomfortable beyond bearing. Uncomfortable beyond bearing. And when you get to that point, you have rebellion, you have uprising, you have riots, you have revolt. That's also what this country was founded on. We revolted against the king. We were the the colonists were the terrorists. And now we have a group that is being murdered systemically. who is uprising and saying, this will not do. Any group. I'm speaking on behalf of myself. I am not speaking on behalf of all people of color. I'm speaking on behalf of myself. Any person in the situation would either try to enact change or find a way to get to a healthier, safer place. And I speak out now because I have this platform. You're here. Mr. Alvin Tucker, thank you for joining me here. I struggled with these words, and I didn't realize until I was a teenager that I had a say. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, with liberty and justice for all. My struggle was the last part, with liberty and justice for all. With liberty, I can roam freely. I don't have to consider driving while black. I don't have to raise my children differently than others raise their children, with hopes that they return home alive, with hopes that they're not dealt with on their school bus by other children telling them that they don't belong because of the color of their skin. And justice for all. There hasn't been a day in 2020 in which I have not encountered, via social media, via the radio in my car, the news, I have not encountered a black person being murdered. Full stop. Which means that in those cases, the judge, the jury, and the executioner were all played by the same person. That isn't new, never has been. Prior to the Emancipation Proclamation, that was systemically okay. Because if we did not consider black men as men, we were only boys. We could only be boys. If we were not considered men, then we didn't have to be held accountable or led to deal with the standards of men. That even after Emancipation Proclamation continued, otherwise we wouldn't have had Jim Crow laws. We wouldn't have seen up until and after the 60s into the 70s, whites only and coloreds and black signs. We wouldn't have to deal with that, but we're dealing with it. And we don't have to fight. So how do we make a change without fighting? How do we peacefully and lovingly make those changes? First of all, if you don't know anything about what I'm talking, then your place of being where you can step in is, how can you be an ally? Do you sit around and watch this stuff happen? And I don't mean, oh my goodness, it hurt my feelings. Do you sit around and say, what can I do? How can I help? That's what's necessary. Start with, how can I help? Do not ride in on your white horse wearing your shining armor and say, I'm here to save the day. Not going to work. That's the old system. The new system is, what can I do to support? What can I do to help nurture and grow a loving community, a loving nation, a loving world, with compassion and empathy? Not just sympathy, but empathy. We as a nation, we as communities, we as a world need to evolve. We need to. And some of you Don't need to, because with privilege, you can purchase your way out. You can look the other way. You can turn a blind eye or a deaf ear to the situation. We are all one. The same energy that flowed into you, that starts your heart beating, that continues to keep you breathing and your heart pulsing as you sleep, what started in your womb is the same energy, regardless of the color of your skin, regardless of where you were born on this planet. And that energy is love. That is a universal. It is everywhere. And that's what connects us. The thing that divides us is here. Small thinking, small minds. It is time. Not only do we open our hearts, but we open our minds. And when we open our minds, we allow the divine in. And we need to listen. How do we listen? Sometimes it's silently. And sometimes it actually is just listening. Right now, I am speaking from the divine. I had no idea what was coming out, where it was coming from, but I knew that this had to be said, and I hope that it's heard. Once again, I'm not getting a feed of who's here or any comments, but I hope that this is resonating with you. Cyrus, hello. I hope that this is resonating with you. So it's not that this has to stop. We have to evolve. We have to change. Because we are the change we need in the world. Where are the allies? And I will once again say, we don't need warriors. We need radios. We need powerful radios that are broadcasting that positive, loving energy of the divine. We need beacons of love. We need beacons of hope. Warring only leads to war. Love leads to love. We will only heal once we've begun to love each other, our differences and our similarities, our uniquenesses. Love is the answer. Love is the answer. And we need to lovingly, right now, embrace the uncertainty with knowledge of the love that needs to flow in order for us to be whole. We are fractured. I've heard people say that we need to fix the system. The system never worked. It worked for some. No, it helped some. It gave them wealth. It gave them power. That's not working. That's skewed. The system, in order for it to work, has to benefit all. Love benefits all. There is no such thing as welfare. There is no such thing as a freebie or a handout. There is. If there was, then parents wouldn't give their children allowances. They'd make them work their butts off. And I say that laughingly. If there was, we wouldn't have to jump through hoops when we go to collect our unemployment after working for 30 years. We would say, I've worked for 30 years. I've done many jobs. I started working when I was 12. I'm here to collect my unemployment because I'm between jobs. And they would say, here you go. The system doesn't need to be fixed. It never worked. We need a system that works. We need people who understand people, who care for people, who lovingly step into the void of the unknown, knowing that they have helped and they will be helped. They have helped and they will be helped. That's how we save each other. That's how we love each other. Not every one of us will get along, but every one of us needs to get along in order for the world to work. I don't necessarily get along with you, but if I get along with this one and that one gets along with you, the chain still works. I may not like what you have to say, but I honor who you are. I may not understand what you have to say, but your words still have power. Bruce says the government works for the government at the expense of the people. It's a government for the people, by the people. Somewhere that has gotten lost. It has not been, I don't know that my children even hear that in school any longer. Why? I don't know. Have we been asked to not deal with actually the way systems work? And for many, yes, we're not taught about systems and process. Why? You'll learn about it when you get there, when you have gotten the VIP pass and you're allowed to enter into that room. And that is the equity, the inclusion that I'm talking about. You don't hear very often in the last 40 years about the person who started in the mailroom and became the CEO. It's a club. There's a ceiling. This needs to go back to that process being there. We need to do it differently. I don't need to bash your head in to change the way you think. I don't need to bash your head in to change the way you think. I need to listen to you. And in listening to you, I can give you an example of how you can listen if you choose to what I have to say. Not because I need to change you, because we need, for the survival of humanity, we need to understand that we're all in this together. None of us gets out of this alive, but no one deserves to have their life taken from them. No one deserves to be cut short due to fear, ignorance, bigotry. There's no reason. Unless we're taught within a system that that is okay. I talk about restorative justice quite often, but we can't restore what never was in balance. We cannot restore what never was in balance. And Alvin says, do we love God? Many of you have heard it. Some of you may not have. Namaste. The God in me recognizes the God in you. God shines into you, and you radiate the light of God. How you radiate that through the prism of your life broadcasts throughout the world. When we recognize in each other the spirit and the power and the divine, we will once again reunite the body of God. We become the parts that equal the body of God. Remember, we're only a part of that. And we need to work as radios. We need to broadcast. Whew. Thank you for this time. Thank you for this time. Thank you for you. And I hope that you go from this moment forward lovingly. I hope that so I got very frustrated when I looked at my feed today. And I know that people were trying to put things that were supportive. And then they mentioned names. But there's those feeds that were supporting, that were brothers and sisters white brothers and sisters who are saying, I support you. I recognize that these people have been killed. They're running a list of the dead. We can honor the dead by how we live, not just by saying their names and over again. It hurts. When I read those names, it hurts. When will my name be on there? When will my name be on there? And then it becomes real. Just as standing up and saying the Pledge of Allegiance as a teenager, and I realized that there's no liberty, there's injustice. I need to be that light. The positivity you see in me is a choice. It is work. I will not succumb to fear. I will not beat somebody down because I'm afraid that they'll beat me down first. I want to live, and I want to live well, and I want to live joyfully. Thank you. I'm going to read today from Sacred and Sacrosanct. I'll pull something here. We'll use a divine selection on this. Tick tock. No matter whether I stop and think or rush ahead, it keeps going. I tried making it. I can't buy it. Sometimes I'm living on borrowed allotments of it. There are moments when I feel like I have been here before. There are moments when I no longer want to be here. Since I am here and this is now, I guess this is my time. And I'm going to jump over to the next page, and this one is the present. He looked to the heavens and asked, For me? What shall I do with it? After a long pause, God replied, Do what you will with it. Life is my gift to you. What are you going to do with your gift? God gave you life, not to be isolated. God made you a part of the whole. We need to be whole again. It is time to evolve. It is time to lovingly evolve. Thank you for this time today. Thank you so much for you. If we can just take a moment. I want to end, but I also don't want to just leave you hanging here. Just breathe. Please stay safe. Be well. And move forward with passion and purpose. And know that you are enough. Say it. I am enough. You are enough. We will get through this. All of this. We will get through this. And lovingly, on the other side, we will be powerful in love. Powerful, broadcasting love. Thank you for joining me today. Thank you. Have a great day.